Duh. Duh, duh.
All right.
What's going on, boys? Boys.
Oh yeah, boy.
Ladies, gentlemen, non-binary pals, welcome back. It is officially Wednesday, so you know what that means. It's time to talk about comics. This week, we're going to be talking about The SCHLUB, written by Ryan Stegman, Kenny Porter, drawn by Tyrell Cannon, colors by Mike Spicer, letters by John J. Hill. This book was a fun time. We're going to dive into it. But first, as always, go to mouthbreathersguild.com if you ever want to get any of our comics. We have our anthology of westerns, all you can eat. We have Not the Legend of Carl. We have Renowned, our sci-fi and fantasy monster of the week anthology of comics set in the universe of Phryxia. It is a good time. We also have Manny's dark fantasy one-shot, Remise. It is 60 pages of gorgeous dark fantasy art. Look at that shit. Fuck yeah. And we have, not on our website, but The Time Police, written by James Solomon, drawn by our friend here, Ben Hill, above me on the camera. Ben, is there a place where people can buy this comic?
No.
Well, you can go to the in-store location at Acme Comics in downtown Greensboro. Otherwise, it is available on Webtoons. Just look up Time Police. We do have all of our socials linked below. And join our Discord. In our Discord, it's a community. Art is, just a good group of folks hanging out, talking art, talking comics, talking music, talking video games, talking movies. It's just a bunch of nerds hanging out. You want to hang out with them, don't you? Get in there, dweeb. Okay. Fellas, this week we're going over the SCHLUB. As always, I will start with our solicit, and then we will get into our initial thoughts, reactions. From filling cavities to saving humanity. Failing dentist Roger Dalton blames the world for his problems until he is body swapped with the world's greatest superhero. Can Roger save the Earth and finally prove to his family that he's not a loser? Or are we doomed? Ryan Stegman, Kenny Porter, Tyrell Cannon, Mike Spicer, and John J. Hill team up for this new action comedy tale featuring cataclysmic clashes, enraged parents, outer space action, tender romance, brutal fisticuffs, tooth extractions, all this and more in one colossal volume. This is the entire run of the SCHLUB 6 issues, trade put out by Image Comics. Fellas, what did we think?
Yeah. Well, I thought it was a fun time. I mean, it's the dudes getting together and just having fun with it, whatever they're making, really. I know I listened to a few Tyrell Cannon interviews, and it's basically the guys were on like a Discord channel together and just like plugging ideas back and forth kind of thing. And, just having fun with it, basically. And Stegman hates dentists. And Tyrell Cannon can't really relate to that, but, he was like, okay, I can draw that.
Yeah, I would say as far as like Cannon's artwork, I was not incredibly familiar with Tyrell Cannon. I have not read Beef Bros, so if you are a Tyrell Cannon fan after reading this, apparently go check out Beef Bros. There are several other things that I know he's worked on, but that was the one that they actually mentioned on the solicit here. To me, it felt like something that you would find on, Adult Swim or something like that when I read through it. Just was kind of a slice of life mixed with a superhero with a very unlikable, over middle-aged man. So, feeling like in their 40s and just, the work is, all against me. So, that's the big problem when it comes to the world of something like this. You're building from the ground up. You're wanting to create something brand new. And so I think leaning on some of the main tropes that you will, that body swap, where the person who's always been picked on now has these incredible powers. And then the superpowered individual is, trying to make sure that, hey, you got to be the person with a good heart. You can't just act on your worst impulses. So it was really interesting as far as that read goes. I believe the original title for this I was a lot more interested in than the SCHLUB, So I would be interested. I don't know. Did you guys hear what the original title was
Yeah,
considered?
something about the original Roger Dalton. What is it? The unbearable Roger Dalton.
Yeah.
Unbearable Roger Dalton. Yeah. Apparently, it was someone that Stegman went to high school with. He wanted to use their character as like the dentist name, and just really bag on somebody they didn't like from that Ryan didn't like from high school. And the unbearable Roger Dalton, if you break that out into the abbreviation, spelled turd. And I was like, I don't know, that might sell a few extra books.
Should have called this book The Turd.
Yeah.
To be fair, though, the emotional maturity of naming this after someone you didn't like in high school reads through the pages of this book. Tyrell is, a great guy, good friend of the show and the comics that we do. He's helped me and Manny a lot in our journey in the world of comics. Unbelievably kind and supportive guy. And almost none of my criticisms have anything to do with him in this book. It is purely like from the writing. I do think that the art is just intense. It is bouncing off of every page. It is so much fun. It's so silly. Yeah. I think he really like nails the cartooniness of this. He has like a real 90s image feel with the book. If you like this vibe of art, like Beef Bros is this, but with more neon colorization, basically, because it's much more like 80s inspired. I do think that this book attempts to do a lot of world building without fleshing it out. I think that this book tends to conveniently show tell instead of showing its like biggest emotional kind of beats. But like I do think that it is tight and it moves fast enough that it's really not that big of an issue. I never thought that any issue of this book really dragged. So I definitely understand erring on the side of speed and energy and momentum rather than fleshing things out.
Right. Yeah, I can see that.
I mean, when it comes to the book itself, I'm right there with you. I think Tyrell's work in here is just excellent. I'm trying to remember the name of the bad guy. I'm trying to flip through a page.
Worm,
yes,
yeah.
Worm. But like there are scenes where the Worm just looks like the biggest bad in the entire book. Rightfully so. I mean, he is the big bad character. Like you said, I think some of the emotional beats are missing because apparently the Worm, the main superhero, Cyrus, he is it Cyrus or Sirius?
Cirrus.
Cirrus. There you go. Sirius is the superhero. His body was actually the Worm's body to begin with, and somehow Sirius was moved into that body and now uses it to be a superhero. And there's so much that they've set up that I feel like will be paid off if they continue this story in a later capacity. But the Worm itself, super cool character design. Sirius has a really cool character design. Roger Dalton is really hateable, just as a character, just the way he looks.
Hateable.
So
I like Roger a lot, actually.
Yeah,
I look at Roger and he's got that football-shaped body, and I'm like, I just want somebody to punt the character across the rest of the book. Until, of course, they body swap, and then I'm like, okay, he's kind of redeemable.
Well, let's dive into that, though, because, I love the design of Roger. I think that he's, like, in his panels and on his pages, he is, like, one of the most well-designed and, like, consistent characters. Just so much expression coming off of this guy. But this is an instance where it's a guy, they say from the beginning, his ex-wife is like, you're a piece of shit, basically, who blames the rest of the world for your problems. And he's like, my brother's a dick, my dad's a dick, my ex-wife left me, I'm fucking pissed off because my business is failing. And, like, while, like, there's probably a part of his character that, like, his bitterness and his curmudgeonly sort of perspective on things is what's hampering him. But also at the same time, throughout this entire book, everybody in his life is kind of a misunderstanding, like, dick to him. There's not anybody who shows him, like, true compassion, except for, like, the brief moments of when his ex-wife is like, it used to be better. But we don't get, like, there's no one, like, truly being compassionate or generous or kind or intimate with him throughout this book. So when he gets this moment of power and he's like, yeah, fuck everybody, I'm going to do this. It's not that I'm like also like a bitter asshole and I'm like, yeah, you show him, Roger. It's more just like you go, okay, like I buy it. You know what I mean? Like there's not, I don't,
Well,
it's
I think it's like the journey with him too, right? Like he, in the beginning, yeah, he's like blaming everything else or everything else, whatever, and like maybe not making the best choices, and then he's, then he owns it. Then he's like, no, this is my thing. Like I need to do this. This is my solution. I'm gonna figure this out. You know what I mean?
yeah.
That comment towards the end of the book.
And I think that that's a very justified, like, kind of changing of perspectives. Is like, oh, wait, the hero isn't the guy who knows what's right. There are these merits to Roger, like his love for studying in those scenes, like in the library. And, like, when he's like, no, fuck you, you're being a selfish prick. I'm going to save the world. And then he goes and does it. And, Sirius is like, so what if it's a couple thousand people or whatever, like, his line is there towards the end. Like, yeah, like, we get great growth out of Roger. And, like, I do like the flip. I think, but again,
am I struggling with the pacing? Is that my problem? I mean, to your point, as far as like the way that the individual issues go, like they breeze through really easily. But I feel like we don't. Issue 1, make Roger a terrible, horrible character. You say like his ex-wife left him. Yeah, I mean, rightfully so. If he's that much of a dick and is constantly talking about, oh, the world is horrible and terrible, I don't know that I'd want to be around them much at all. So, like, her leaving him is understandable, especially when you start to get the fact that the ex-wife is still talking to the other more successful brother, saying, you need to help him. Like, I still think he's a great person deep down. I still think, he didn't always used to be this way. He had a lot more hope and ideas for the future, but the fact that here it is, we don't see a lot of that, and I don't think it's till like the second to last issue we see just how genuinely terrible his father is, and his brother doesn't back him up, and his sister's a real pain in the ass. There's no one that's on his side in that household except for the ex. And I wonder if adjusting the story a little bit to where you meet him, he's horrible, and then maybe halfway through issue 2, like you get that this is what he's dealing with. And I almost feel like that comes later in the book to where at that point, I'm more just following Tyrell and like his visual storytelling because I'm really enjoying the artwork. But the rest of the story, I'm just like, okay, come on. We've got to get here. We got to get picked up somewhere. And then the ending we'll talk about later. But even that, I have to say, it wasn't as bad as Parasocial. Parasocial, I ran into so many issues with the characters because they were just horrible, terrible people all around. Where it's just like, I can't like any of these people. And I have some similar struggles with this. And I wonder maybe if some things were just twisted or adjusted, maybe that would help me. But again, Tyrell, I'm just watching or looking at his stuff, just looking at his panels, looking at the details, seeing how he's telling stuff. And I agree. His character design is fantastic. I think some of it is a little rushed, and I've heard him talk about that in interviews where some of these characters he was designing just off to the side of the page as he was working on it. But I don't know. They're just diarrhea of the mouth. You know me.
That's good. Fucking Flashman says Ben brought out the knives today, and it's fair to say that criticism can equal knives, but it's also when our baseline is us just gushing page over page of this is the coolest thing I've ever read week over week. Like I do enjoy our conversations where we pick apart what worked and what didn't. Because it's exceedingly rare that we have a book that we're just like, you know what? We read this book and collectively we all hate it, which none of us hate this book by any means. No. But like, I'm interested in doing that. Of course, why talk about something you don't like? We have a tendency to want to uplift and talk about things. But I think because we have so much respect for Tyrell And like there's so much merit to this book, it's really worth going over on stream. And Pixel says, was the Discord channel supposed to be just for you guys? Kind of. It's just that we're going to kind of steamroll the conversation and talk solely about this. So if it's ever a week where you read the book that we're talking about, we're happy to have people on, talk with us, just nerd out over the book. We don't do a good job of announcing what we're going to read ahead of time. It's usually like day before. But if it's a book you love and you really want to talk about it, because we've done classics like Kingdom Come, and we did, the Alex Ross, Fantastic Four book, and we've done Daniel Warren Johnson books. Pulp by Ed Brubaker is one of our personal favorites. Things like that. Like if it's a book you really love. Says, keep the knives out. I'll go get popcorn. Yeah, I mean,
I will say, hold on. So Kev, just to Pixel to kind of go off of that, if you're on the Discord, there are times where we will jump on like the writers hangout or the artists hangout, and we'll just like sit around and draw and chat. So if you ever see people on there, don't hesitate to jump on that, because that's just kind of open mic. We all hang out.
Yeah, this is the most focused of any of the streams that we do.
Yes.
Pixel says, I know literally nothing about comics. My friend, it's a world that you got to jump into. If you like art, if you like any storytelling, we are very biased because we are creators and lifelong fans, but I truly believe that comics are probably the best medium for visual storytelling. It's so uninhibited. It's so expressive. It's so unique, and it's a very low cost of entry, relatively speaking. Of course, it takes a lifetime of drawing to get good at it, but truly, like, Manny and I have made, I don't even know how many comics at this point together, and we're just two guys putting all of our hearts and soul into it. And a movie, is $1 million with 100 people. You know what I mean? So the difference is that, like, you can just, if you want to make a comic, there's nothing stopping you from putting pen to page and going, this is a comic and I made it. And that's why comics fucking rule.
Exactly. That's how these things happen.
That's how Ben did his book. That's how we did our anthology book.
Yep.
It's
just do it.
Why not?
You get people
you
like
just can't.
Flash jumping in there.
Noah's in here.
That's right.
Look at all these pages. Look at all these beautiful pages. This is just homegrown North Carolina artists doing their thing. So, what about graphic novels is an interesting question. We use the word comic interchangeably for graphic novels, light novels, manga. Yeah, if you didn't know, we make several comics. This is our plug at the beginning of the stream. You can go to our website, mouthbreathersguild.com, to really dive in. But this is a group effort here. This All You Can Eat is an anthology of westerns we made. Manny made this one all on his own. It's a fan comic for Deep Rock Galactic, the video game. Ben made this one with his writing partner, James. This is The Time Police. It's a sci-fi buddy cop. Manny made this one on his own, Remise. This is a dark fantasy epic. And then me and Manny made this high fantasy thing. Renowned Monster of the Week. Fun monster hunting stories set in our own world that we created, Phyrexia. So, check them out. We're on Webtoons with all of these books, so if you want to read them, they're free online, or you can buy them if you feel so inclined.
And just quickly, Manny, pimp a little bit of the stuff you've done on the YouTube channel about making books.
Oh, pimp it out? I mean, I'll just I'll do some streaming and follow the process of making comics, basically. So that's really the simplified, the Spark Notes version of that.
That was terrible. So Manny needs to take a marketing class, but for a while there, Manny was working on finishing off Remise and working on the anthology, and streamed all of it. So if you want to see kind of how you make the artistic side, not so much the written side, Kev can do a whole diatribe about that. But you can actually go back into over to Manny's YouTube and watch him actually, like, page by page, make some of these books and just see how it's done.
Well, I am working on a how to make comics course, basically. So that will be in the future, and I'm holding myself to that. So the planning has begun. Don't know when I'll release it, but it will be released at some point. So
yeah,
awesome.
Again, if you go to mouthbreathersguild.com, you will find all of our books. There should be links to Webtoons. We have our link tree that'll take you to all of our links, our socials. Yeah, we try to pimp out as much as we can. Comics are great. That's the whole point of this stream, is for us to just get together, clear through our backlog of to read books, because we buy way more comics than we could ever humanly read. And just get together because we all learn from this. We all take things from these books that we go over and translate it into our own work. So, yeah, Pixel, thank you very much for the support. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for posting your art in the Discord. That's what it's for just nerds, mouth breathers, dweebs, geeks, freaks, the droolers, the snorers, the snoozers, and the losers. Welcome aboard. But diving back into the SCHLUB, because we veered off the bitten path. Where did we last leave off? We were talking about Roger as a character.
Yeah,
Yes.
character design. Is that what we were talking
Character design, character development.
about?
Again, let's just say I love his design. I love the obeseness. I love the pudge. I love the grease. I love the drool that he's always kind of just, the commentary that he's just like, how do you do this? Like, why does everything hurt? Why am I so tired? Like, it's hilarious. And kind of flipping through this again, as we were talking about the pacing of the characters and how this story unravels, I think that what their intention is kind of with issue 2, because before we dive into issue 2, issue 1 is just the body swap and the ramifications of the body swap. Fat Man and superhero switch bodies. And once we get into issue 2, we kind of take the perspective of the hero, and it's, I've got to make this change. I've got to save the world. I've got to, I got to do the thing with the soul cradle and the life energy and save the world. But we really, it's not enough to make me sympathize. You know what I mean? It's not enough to make me care and understand the stakes of what's going on. I feel like if the intention was to do that kind of flip of narrative where it's like, no, this book's actually about Roger, it's not about Sirius.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel like we get enough of that. Like, I do enjoy the moment where Sirius hears his brother talk shit about him and that everyone thinks he's a disappointment and has all these problems with him. I think that's deeply humanizing. But I think this whole passage with Sirius, like, I gotta do the thing, it just really feels like a fetch quest in an RPG. It's like go get the widget so you can craft the coin, and then with the coins you can get the jewels, and the jewels will buy you the items, and the items will buy you you know what I mean? It's like playing Destiny 2, where it's just an endless grind cycle and there's no actual purpose to anything that you're doing or anything fun or redeeming about it. You know what I mean?
The whole soul stone or whatever, the MacGuffin that they had to chase throughout the whole thing, that was definitely the run here to do this and then run back to do that, and don't let this happen.
Yeah. And I think and maybe we just read into this because we're artists and creators, but I think readers can smell that shit from a mile away. You know what I mean? Like, get the thing to do the thing, go to the place to get the thing, and beat the guy so you can get the thing, and then once you have the thing, you can do the thing. It's just like, I know it's very I'm being very reductive right now, but it is a problem that a lot of storytellers can fall into, and comics do it all the time. Big two famous books do it, but the things that ground us the most and make meaningful stories are human emotions and depth of character, and we only get that for brief little slivers, and that's when this book is at its best, and then otherwise it's meh.
Well, I think, and Manny, you've been quiet for too long, so I'm going to try to keep my point short. What I do enjoy about making the stories that we have, we operate in these short beats, typically, doing 8 pagers here and there. And I think that's just a great workout that we're going through, because I do think there's some additional complexity to telling a whole 30 some odd page, 40 page sometimes issue. You have to really consider pacing and being able to keep a reader's interest from beginning to end. And in 8 pages, we've talked about this, and you have the best way to analogize this, Kev, where it's just set up punchline, right? So I think there are some tricks and things that they're trying to learn and stretch out to something a little bit longer. And it's just, every comedian when they may have a few good jokes in their set up punchline, but they go from being the opening act to the middle and they got to stretch it to 20 minutes. It takes work. So I still think there's good work in here, but you're right. Comparing this to some of the things that we just absolutely gush over, this one is something to see growth and progress in, which I think is really cool.
Manny, you were just about to say something.
No, I lost it.
No, and I for example, when I go through these things, like the growing pains of the SCHLUB as a superhero, when Roger is in Sirius's body and he's like, oh, there's the blimp of evil going through the city. I mean, I think it's a great sequence. I love the design of the villains. I love that they're just like carrying a vault on a blimp through the city. Like, that's hilarious. Like, yeah. And I think the villains being taken aback. Like, why is this dude being so crazy? Like, this isn't the status quo of hero and villain relationships, and they're reacting to it. I think I could have done with, and it doesn't have to be pages of like moments. It can just be a moment of just like, holy shit, I just like leveled a whole city block. There are people dead everywhere. Like, what have I been doing? Like, shit, like it takes so long for him to feel the weight of his actions when like we should be emphasizing this death and destruction and why being a bad superhero is a whole thing, right? Like, am I the only one who feels that way, or
no? Go ahead, Manny.
I mean, I don't know. He's not. Is he really killing people and stuff though? Like when he's fighting these?
I mean, that's how I interpret it when I see these explosions, like throwing people away, and like I see this huge boom. Like, this is a city block. You know what I mean?
There we go. I'm looking at it now. Yeah, all the cars and the people are just getting thrown out.
Yeah, like take just a beat, like a half a page, just to see like him to see dead bodies and go, "Oh shit, I did that." And like, it's, you know what I mean? Like, it would go so far for him to realize. Whereas instead we have Sirius in Roger's body going, "Dude, you can't do that. That's messed up." And he's just like, whatever. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's got to learn these things himself. He can't just be told he's making the mistake.
Yeah.
I think what I find so frustrating is they're, even as this common trope where someone gets a body that they're not accustomed to, like if they have superpowers, they're still trying to be careful. They may make mistakes, but they try to correct them. And I think the piece that the Roger character struggles with is it's not my fault. It's always someone else's fault. And he even pulls that with like the superhero thing, where it's like, you're causing all this mayhem and you're still sitting there and being like, it's not my fault. Like, that drove me absolutely crazy. But I will say, the smorgasbord, like, that's the guy that has the red suit or the icon in the middle always changes. Number one, great name. Like, I don't know that it super fits, but like smorgasbord, being able to use whatever power as long as the icon shows up on the chest, I thought was so funny. And for a minute there, I had no idea like what was going on until I had to start like, oh, he has like an eye icon, so he can use super binoculars, and he's got like the muscle icon, so he's got super strength. I thought that was
and he's injured, and he's got the cross icon.
the medic icon.
I also this is just a brief aside. I'm just looking at this page when he's drinking the coffee and he's just like sweating and vibrating. That's so
that's one of my
good.
favorites.
These are my favorite panels. Like the sweat and the tears and the grease coming off of Roger when he's just freaking out throughout the book. It's like my favorite. It's so good.
My heart's gonna explode through my chest. Your chest, whatever.
And I had this thought while I was reading it, and Ben, what you were saying reminded me of this. You know what this book really feels like? It feels like the better version of the Shazam movie that the DC
Dude.
made a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like a guy who shouldn't be a superhero becomes one and like comes to terms with that like lesson. And this is so much more palatable and relatable. And maybe it's because I'm like not a doe-eyed child anymore. And I'm just like actually closer to Roger than any other character in this book. You know what I mean? But I was like, yeah, this is great. Like I identify with this. I understand what's going on.
Yeah,
Well,
Kevin shrunk 2 feet and has become a plump little man with glasses and a stash.
That's exactly what I am. Stop
Oh, what's up,
dipshit.
Brock.
Brock, you're gonna get banned again.
Oh. Well, so I think that's one thing that I did as I was reading. I found more humor in the fact that Cyrus in Roger's body, there's so many things that he's accustomed to that for the human side, it's like the superhero going to the human body is much more entertaining than the other direction. So when he's like talking about, I am so tired and out of shape, like I got 2 hours of sleep last night. I don't know what's wrong with me. Yeah, and then Roger's like, normally I get 10 or 12. And it's like,
Yeah, with a body like that, you need 12 at least.
I also, that panel of him just like gorging on junk food in his new body
Yeah, that one
is
fantastic.
so good.
I love that. He just eats his feelings. Yeah.
There's a couple different ones where he does that, and it's great. Yeah. Brock says, hello, lovely, wonderful people in my favorite family-friendly stream.
There it is. I know, I think Ryan Stegman did a cover, and it's basically that sequence with him eating all the junk food and shit.
Yeah, I mean, it's fantastic. Which the covers gallery, yeah, here's him just like passed out.
It's got like the color of the TV, like lighting them up. Yeah, there it is. That's great.
It's so good. And hey, good back matter in this book while I'm flipping through these back covers. The cover variants are great. I know that this book did not sell super well, and that's a shame because these are all creators that should be doing a lot better than they are. I loved this spread. Oh, the character designs, the dynamic action.
Yeah.
This is good. And yeah. But
awesome.
Back to the book. Smorgasbord, the eyes. Yeah. I love the design of the Vigilant. Ben, I know you had qualms with the Vigilant.
I did. They feel like
Brock, we're reading the SCHLUB.
Wildcat indie or Image 90s knockoffs.
Oh yeah.
Like they weren't cool enough to be in the Wildcats, so we made them their own Vigilant team.
I know like Tyrell was putting everything that he was a 90s like comic collector, right, back in the day, and he loved Wildcats, so that's definitely a little callback for sure. I would assume
that would make sense then.
Yeah, Brock, you may have missed it. It's the villain is called the Smorgasbord. And like when he's like using different powers, his suit changes. So he's got binoculars, he gets this eye, he's lifting up something heavy, he gets this muscle. It's fun. The book is called The SCHLUB, though. The body swapping Freaky Friday book where a fat dentist swaps bodies with a basically Superman. No one is cool enough to be in the Wildcats. That's fair. 90s Image is like the best looking, worst reading books I've ever read. With the exception of Savage Dragon. I think Savage Dragon's got some great stuff in there, but like Wildcats and like it's
Spawn gets a little wacky.
Oh yeah. Big time.
Yeah. But I will say I do want to say the design of the dad of Sirius's dad.
Oh yeah, full Kirby.
Oh my, the
full
dad
Kirby.
and the sister.
Area. Yeah, it's like the whole city or whatever planet is like Kirby design with that like crazy blocky tech and stuff and those blocky designs. I loved it. I was like, oh hell yeah! Even the colors, like this is what he would use with those. Is it Doc Phillip dyes or I can't remember exactly, but like Jack Kirby would color those character designs, and this would basically be like the color palette that he would use.
Oh, it was Doc Martin, wasn't it? It was like a leather dye that he would use.
Yeah, it's Doc Martin. It's one of those, and yeah, that's what Kirby would use back in the day for figuring out colors and color palettes for his shit.
Oh yeah, it's the yeah. Again, we've said this several times already. I'm gonna say it again. None of my complaints with this book have anything to do with Tyrell's work or Mike's work. Like Tyrell and Mike. Tyrell is one of my favorite artists. Mike Spicer is far and away my favorite colorist. He's just
And Dave
unreal.
Stewart,
Yeah.
fantastic.
Jordy Belair. Shout out to Jordy Belair. That dude fucking rules.
Yeah. Was it Mike Hollingsworth?
Matt Hollingsworth, who does the colors on Hawkeye
Yes.
and several other books. Yeah. Really, really talented colorist.
Yeah. Jake Phillips. Did you already say Jake Phillips?
No, I didn't. But Jake Phillips is, woo. And Jake Smith, his colors, because I think he does all of his own coloring for those books.
Oh, really?
That's what I thought. I'll have to go dig up a Godzilla. Oh, you have all my Godzilla issues. You tell me.
Yeah, they're right there.
But man, I do think that the most effective issue, well, one. So I flip back and looking at this beat, him breaking up the cowboy date. The cowboy date itself, very funny. Him breaking up the cowboy date and his ex-wife being mad at him for intervening. I wanted just something more out of that moment. I wanted him to make a real mistake. You know what I mean? It feels like we got edged a little too much and we didn't get the full climax of the moment. You know what I mean?
Well, so what I think was missing from that is, like, here it is. She doesn't know Cirrus is Roger at that time, right?
Yeah.
It's just this random superhero bro that, like, shows up and tries out-broing the other bro. And so,
beautiful lady.
and she just she's like, I'm tired of men being bros. Like, I don't want to deal with this. You're just, all these guys suck and are lame. But I don't know. Again, I love all the interpersonal stuff. I will say, you guys know I'm an onomatopoeia slut. Like, the stuff in here, from like the swipe where he's taking the beer out of the cowboy's hands to when he's like chugging it and you get the glug 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 in the background, all that stuff, I just love all of it. There's so much in here that I feel like, Tyrell really got to be like, no, I got this. Like, we don't have to worry about doing actual vector lettering or everything or anything. So there's so much of that I absolutely love. And his playing around with, like, the different, whether it's mist or teleporting or anything like that, it just seemed like he really got to play around with how do we make these things look in a comic book. And a lot of it does feel Kirby-esque, especially when he kind of gets teleported back to where Cirrus gets teleported back to Max Terra.
Yeah.
Like, all of that. I was just like, again, the visuals are fantastic. I can't complain about that. I do love when you finally get scale on characters. Because there's a panel during the date night where you get to see the ex-wife, and, like, over in the left corner is the little cowboy guy, and he's kind of been shut down by Cirrus. And then you just see, Cirrus is so big, he's popping up out of the panel. Like, his head's somewhat cut off. Yeah. But you have this mighty lady, like, shutting him down. So I thought that was pretty cool. I like it when he does that. There's another one early on after, like, right when they do the body swap. And I love seeing just the tiny Roger. And then Tyrell, like, has Cirrus hunched over in this, like, oh my gosh pose. But there's this big hulking guy that he's, like, tried to fold down to fit this panel. And I love things like that too. Again, I can't say enough good things about the art in this book. So
Oh, dude, I love his paneling throughout this book. Like towards the end, it gets crazy.
Oh
but
my
like in the very
god,
beginning,
this one got me fucking juiced. The spread where he's fighting all the monsters, and it's like the panels barely even like register as breaks, but you get the animation of Cirrus going through it.
I was gonna say
oh yeah.
the one when he gets thrown through the levels in like the first issue, when he gets thrown through the levels
Oh
of the building,
yeah.
and every level is like a panel. I like that. But yeah, I mean, once things get crazier and more chaotic, he does like more chaotic panel layouts and stuff. He's very dynamic with that, and I appreciate it. Especially like the dinner party, he makes that scene more interesting with like getting everyone's face like a film reel kind of thing.
Mhm.
Those tiny little panels makes that feel interesting. Has those like diagonal panels coming from the dad, and then when things get real crazy, when when Worm shows up, things get a little crazy.
And again, we have to wait until like late in issue 4 to fully understand the weight of like how shitty Roger's life is. Like,
Yeah.
because this scene was the one where I was like, damn, like, because I think that it's really great when he shows up with the food on the skewers, and his family's like, "What are you, a fucking idiot? You piece of shit! Why would you do something nice for us? Like, fuck you,
dweeb."
like,
His ex-wife is like, "That's really thoughtful."
and it's delicious. Everyone's like, "Holy crap! When did you learn to use salt and pepper?" You know what I mean? Like, and then his dad is just this fuming, raging prick.
Don't say thank you, I'm paying them, or whatever he says.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was like, geez, dude.
Tell me
I
this
wouldn't
isn't
wanna
the
work
most
for that guy.
90s image shit you've ever seen, though, when the Sergeant Skyhawk sequence.
Oh yeah.
I lost it with these pages. I loved the paneling of these like weird kind of half circle looking thing that he did up here. Just what a... Any dates for the next art stream? Ben, when are you streaming next?
I'll stream tomorrow night, and I try to stream on Saturday.
Tomorrow, Saturdays. Manny streams all the time. Sometimes he doesn't, sometimes he does. Follow the Manny Draws on Twitch to get notified anytime Manny does a drawing stream. I can confidently tell you that every Wednesday, comic books. We talk about a comic book every Wednesday.
True.
So, for those of you watching on YouTube, when this uploads this weekend, you could have hung out with us on Wednesday. Why are you watching it now? Why are you listening to us in the background? I don't know how you consume our media. Not that many people are consuming it on YouTube. But when you are, come hang out on Twitch, you dummy.
I will say, you call out the panels. I kind of like the 3 minions that just kind of bounce from super villain to super villain. They're giant cable shoulder pads and
Oh yeah,
the belt buckles and everything. And there's a panel later when, of course, they jump ship, they go support Worm, and they're doing all this. I mean, I love this group beatdown where you see them all, like, one stomping on Skyhawk, the other one's like just rapid punching, the other one's just kind of throwing a kick with a giant gun. It's all fantastic. You just get all this action in one page. But later on, they turn on Worm, and like the girl is just straight up punching him in the dick. Like you just see bow, bow, bow.
Yeah.
The other guy, it's so funny that you get these 3 grunts that kind of become the background comedy to help break things up towards the middle of the book.
And they do a great job to characterize the world, because they're kind of chiding in about this League of Villains and all this stuff, and then they're also the thing that we use to give us like hey, Pixelus, do we have a set time for draw streams? I don't know, probably 8 or 9 p.m. is my guess. It's pretty loose.
Yeah, I got kids that gotta go to bed.
Yeah, Ben's a family man. So,
but 8:30 every
EST,
Wednesday.
EST, and 8:30 EST for our streams here. You can always just ask in the Discord. We're pretty much always around to field questions. It's very casual in there. Man, like we mentioned this before with the design of Worm, but God, he looks so cool.
He's great.
Just these long tubes coming out of his mask on his face. And they're just kind of like always flowing and doing something different in every panel to just really create dynamic design to him. So good.
Did you pick up Tyrell Cannon's Weed Priests?
Yes. Oh, I have it buried in my room back there, but man, Weed Priest rules.
Very similar to that, yeah. Like his designs for these for Worm. You know, I feel like he's taken from what he learned from the Weed Priests and stuff, which is very cool. I like seeing that.
Yes. For those of you who don't know this about Tyrell Cannon, he frequents a lot of cons. He's always at Heroes Con. He's always at C2E2. He does some other ones in the Chicago area because that's where he's based.
Yep.
He will always have mini comics at his table. One of them, some of them are his Inktober like collections where he did Xtober last year, and it's all just gorgeous ink to like pages of X-Men characters. That book ruled. He did a Doom fan comic, the IDKFA. That comic rules. His book Weed Priest that we were just mentioning is a Sleep fan comic based on the album Dope Smoker, the Weed Priests.
Awesome.
He has so many cool books. He has a book that he did with his brother called Eris, Eris. That book is really sick. He's looking to do a big collection of that book, I think on Kickstarter in the near-ish future. And then and like we said, Beef Bros. That got kickstarted, and that book kicks ass.
Hell yeah. And check out Game Over Man. His
Game Over Man, the alien one. Oh my god. Yeah.
It's a Bill Paxton's character from Alien that he's
Game Over Man.
Game Over Man.
Game Over Man. The original Twister.
Yeah, rest in peace, Bill Paxton.
Yeah.
I'll drink one to Bill Paxton. Oh man.
Hell yeah. What a guy. But
Love
anyway,
Bill Paxton.
get Tyrell's books.
Yeah, support this guy. He truly is like, not only is his art amazing, but he's like one of the genuinely most nice people I've ever met. Super generous with his time, has shared so many tips and tricks and pearls of wisdom with us in our journey. Like, has just been a huge advocate for us, you know, always putting us on and talking. Just, you know, he's, I can't say enough nice things about Tyrell Cannon. He's such a good dude. And it makes me feel so good when someone so talented is also a good person. Like, that is the best thing in the world. Like Daniel Warren Johnson, where he's just like such an unbelievably nice guy. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. These are the people you want to support. Don't support the dickheads and the jerks. I'm not going to name names because honestly, there's not that many of them in the comics industry.
Well, we haven't come across that many yet.
Most of it is hearsay. Other artists being like, that guy's a dick, and I'm like, okay.
I know some publishers you probably shouldn't.
Yeah. Artists generally not dicks. Publishers mostly dicks. Anyway. Tyrell, fucking lighten these pages up.
Yeah. I mean, you can also notice from the very beginning, like he's doing like a bit more clear line kind of stuff. And he's like, I know he mentioned in a few podcasts that he was pushing himself to do more black, you know, use more black with those panel layouts, with all that. So through the composition, like in this page right here, when it gets chaotic, when you know, when the SCHLUB is thrown into the pit with all the aliens and stuff, you see there's just so much black ink on the page, so much design work going on. It's fantastic. You know, he's just like really pushing himself there. And I know a big influence for him is Jeff Darrow, so like you'll see that like clear line kind of thing in the very beginning with those cityscapes, and then the dentist office, his dental office in the very beginning. So you can like see all the details in the room and like the city and the rubble and all that. And then he starts to push himself a little bit more with using way more black ink than before. It also helps with the mood and everything too. So it's great. Tyrell's the man. What can I say?
Yeah. Like,
I was gonna say, the one emotional moment that I was so looking forward to was when the X gets caught up in the battle and gets left in the rubble. And it's like
Oh,
I wonder if in the single issue the page layout was different, because like in the trade it's side by side pages. Like you find her in the rubble, and I do love that zoom in on uh Sirius's face with like
Oh,
just the black and kind of the little flames and things like that flickering, and then that white panel at the bottom, just that
yeah, that
like
negative space.
I
Really
love the
old.
negative space. So, I mean, I think you're right. He gets to play with everything in
Yeah.
this, and I think he does such a fantastic job. But part of me wonders if, because it's a trade, if the page flip was missing, or the page count was off, so you don't get the reveal of the page flip where it's the Roger, and then you would flip and see, oh, everything's gonna be okay. But for there, as I was reading that page, I'm like, holy crap, they're gonna kill off the like little bit of decency that was in his life, which I thought would have been pretty dramatic. Because the
Yeah.
rest of his people are assholes. The ex-wife is the only one that kind of cares about him. So
Dude.
but I think that would have been a dramatically different turn for the story to take, because this is a
yeah,
story of him redeeming his negative qualities, whereas if she had died, we would have saw that sink into darkness. And I don't know, maybe if this was 12 issues, that would have made sense. But because this
right.
is a tight 6, like, no, we got to keep her as this shining light. I mean, she's literally always in yellow. Like she's contrasted so heavily in every panel that she's in with that bright yellow dress that like
All this
she.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, dudes. The ending was not what I thought it would be. I thought for sure, hey, we'll get through all this. They'll wrap it up nice and tight. But it looks like they've got plans for more.
They do. This is I know I was listening to Tyrell talk about it, and this is like their first arc that they wanted to do, and then they had more planned out. But it's all dependent on how the peoples are reacting to the book. Because they said they wanted to go get more onto with Max Terra. They want to do more stuff with that, more stuff with Worm's race and everything. So
That's
who knows?
interesting. And that might explain why some of these things don't feel fully fleshed out, because there was almost a built-in expectation to go
Yeah.
farther.
Yep.
Yeah. But I actually love the ending of this book. I really do enjoy the kind of, I don't want to go so far as to call it a twist, but it's definitely a subversion of expectations, where you think, oh, he's going to save the day, and then they're going to body swap back to normal, and then Roger comes to this conclusion where he's like, I'll be this kind of man. But really, he was like, no, Sirius, you're a piece of shit. I'm going to be the hero. And I really enjoyed that aspect of this book a lot.
Yeah. He's just like, you don't deserve this. You're gonna let people die just to get your body back. He's like, I'm keeping it. It's mine now.
And it's like, they do a great job of, like, I don't think that there's enough fleshing out of the villain for him to be like, well, actually, the hero's the asshole because the dad colonized my people and destroyed my planet and whatever. Like,
Right.
it was, again, balance is a big lesson to learn from all of this. How do you flesh these things out? How deep into these stories do you go? How much motivation do you have to show? I don't have the correct answer for this book, but I can definitely say that things just felt a little bit uneven, off kilter. But again, having that turn of Sirius being the piece of shit, like, really works for this story. Because again, he was like so willing to kill all these people, and that's like really fucked up. Like, he didn't learn his lesson to be a hero, and so I think he has to learn his lesson to be a better person, even though he's technically not human. Be a better person, be a better son to a father, with his relationship with his dad. And then on the flip side, if Sirius plays the game, he can get a loving dad in the process. I loved those moments where like his dad was like, hell yeah, this guy rules. I don't care what happened, and like, this is my dude right here. Like, I thought that shit was so funny.
Yeah, and then we don't go back there. So there's definitely, it'd be cool to see what they do next. Hopefully they do another issue so we can see the full story.
Yeah, man. Maybe it's not
Agreed.
fair to judge this story on just 6 issues because people tell me I have to watch 120 episodes of One Piece for it to start getting good. You know what I mean?
Just wait. It's gonna get there. Episode 102. It's gonna be fantastic.
Everyone says it's like 102 or 112 or whatever it is.
Who knows? Too long.
But I get it. And I get it. There are certain shows where I'm like, yeah, the first season's whatever, but you gotta get in the, like Breaking Bad. First season, amazing. Second season, dog shit. Third season, 10 out of 11 out of 10. 12 out of 10. It's so good that like you just have to put up with the boring slog of season 2. And then you'll get rewarded with one of the best shows ever made. So I get it. I understand that feeling. But it's also really annoying when there's 1,000 books to read and TV shows to watch, and you're telling me I have to suffer for it to end up getting good.
I mean, it's just like Parks and Rec finding their voice in season 1, and then they finally they nail it in season 2, right?
Very good point. Yeah.
So they warm up to it.
I don't even watch season 1 when I rewatch Parks and Rec. I just literally skip it. And it's not very long. I think it was like 8 episodes or something. And I just skip it, start with season 2, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is why this show is one of my favorites.
Because once the 2 characters are introduced, was it Ben and what's his name?
Chris.
Chris
Chris Traeger.
Ben and Kirk introduced. Yeah. Then that show is amazing. I love it. And Perkins.
Man, how good was this sequence with the soul cradle falling, and they do those like insert panels with it falling in and out of the space, and like all this fighting and chaos is going on. Man, I stared at this thing for a long time.
That, and I love the follow-up to it, where he finally decides, I think it's 2 pages after this, because they have to have the conversation about, people are dying. That's fine as long as I get back to my body. And then the snap, like that snap full page, looks gorgeous as well. Thought that was so good.
Nah. Yeah, everyone's just like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Yep.
We get that huge panel break with the chrome.
Yeah, that lettering's fantastic. Then out into space. This definitely felt like a cartoon. I mean,
yeah,
it was great.
Yeah, it was like almost like Invincible, but like goofier.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like a very goofy like cartoon. I enjoyed it. Yeah.
I love all the speed and expression, like in Worm's like, well, okay, one final attack, and then you get all that stuff going on in his panel, and then it's that one final punch from Sirius, and I love just that smoke that like wraps around the panel coming all the way back behind his fist, just showing how big of a windup this is for him to like Krakoom again. Fantastic onomatopoeia breaking out into those panels, and just seeing Worm shoot off into space. Just what a great way to be like, all right, it's finally time to take care of this guy. Get him out of here.
I did like the on the last page, just the composition of all the ships coming.
Oh
yeah, like looking into the sun in the first panel, you see the little dots. Could be passed off as birds, but then you get a little closer shot, and then you're with the ships in the last panel, which is really cool.
Really cool.
Yeah, I like that setup.
I like that this bar is called Otomos.
Did you say hot dogs?
Yeah.
They're not hot dogs, they're hot dogs.
Hot dogs.
I don't remember what page they were on, but there was a lot of little goofy little jokes when he was doing like, especially when he's like eating his feelings and the brands.
Yeah. I know he put his friends' names and stuff as brands in the like cereal boxes and stuff. So there's
Porter
like little.
Puffs.
Say what?
Porter Puffs.
Yeah.
Cheese nuts.
Cheese nuts. which is a similar thing that Jeff Darrow does. If you look at his work, you'll see a whole bunch of lettering in the background that is just hilarious jokes on just like street signs, whatever it is. He'll put it in there. He'll definitely put a poop joke in there too.
Oh, big time.
Any chance he can get, and a dog pooping. He loves dogs pooping. He thinks it's the most funniest thing in the world.
He's not wrong.
He's not. Jeff Darrow is awesome. Anyway.
But this book, I don't want to say it sticks the landing, but its conclusion is a lot more satisfying than its journey. And
I still say it's a fun time though.
Oh,
Like,
absolutely.
even with its flaws. I mean, it's not a bad book. You know,
No.
is it the best book in the world? No, it's not. But it's fun. I mean,
Yeah.
it's definitely like dudes playing with their action figures, and I always like every time I look at Tyrell Cannon stuff, I feel like it's an action figure. Like I get, these big freaking barrel-chested dudes and like the scrawny villain or whatever. These just look like toys that I want to have on my shelf and just throw around because I mean, look at that. Those
Yeah.
character designs are fantastic. Even the ones that aren't like the ones that he fleshed out like crazy, I still think they're great. Like all those little henchmen people.
Yeah.
Oh, the henchmen are hilarious.
Yeah,
I like
I love that stuff. Ugh.
And like my critiques mostly come from starting at point A, finishing at point B, and going, well, if that's where we were going, why did all of this stuff happen in the middle? Why, like, we could have done this, we could have done that. And the power of hindsight is always important to remember, because this book was probably written an issue at a time. You know what I mean? Like, that is something that is unique to comics, where they are figuring things out as it works out. You're never going to have all 140 pages written and then have us get from point A to point B, unless you're Tom King. Tom King does write all 6 issues of an arc before he like sends it to an artist, which I definitely understand. You want to make sure that everything between 1 and 6 makes sense. But the reality of the industry is that you don't know if you're ever going to get to 5, so why write 6? Let's just do 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and make sure we can get there first. So like, I understand. And it's very easy to sit here as an armchair critic and go, I would have done this. You could have done this better. Truly, like, this is a published Image book, so it is strong. It's not the best comic I've ever read, but that does not mean it is without merits. Like, truly.
100%.
I don't regret having read this book. You know what I mean? I don't feel like my time was wasted.
I don't regret buying it. Fucking, it's in my shelf. Great. But yeah, it's a fun time. Anyways,
Gentlemen, closing thoughts.
yeah. Go ahead, get it. I dare you.
Yeah, man, support these artists. Read this book. Don't let me being overly critical of anything dissuade you from how much I enjoyed it. I had a fun time. Beyond this, it was like, above all, this book was light and it was fun, and the art is incredible. I can be overly critical, but that's because I'm a dick. So like, you don't always have to take everything I say at face value. And if
I was
you
gonna say, I'm an asshole. So if Kev's a dick, I'm an asshole. We'll leave the other things to talk about later.
Manny's the balls.
Manny is the balls. I was gonna say, or he could be the taint that holds it all
No,
together.
Brock is the taint.
Brock.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Perfect. So, I agree wholeheartedly. While I will look at this book and think there's a lot of visual things, and I'm going to be like, ooh, I love that idea, or I love the way you did this. There's a lot of stuff that I'll take away from it in that respect. My complaints are my own. They're not yours. Like the little things that I'll nitpick, don't let them deter you. I 100% think like this book is going to be thoroughly enjoyed by a lot of people. Unfortunately, I don't think a lot of people have taken it seriously enough, and I don't know why that is. But I really think, if you like Ryan Stegman, if you like Tyrell Cannon, if you like Mike Spicer, God, his colors are gorgeous in this book. His colors are gorgeous, period, no matter what he's doing. But like, go give this a shot. There's no reason not to. So yeah, I would say check it out. I think you'll like it, especially if you do like the more cartoony superhero type. And if you loved Image books in the 90s, I think you'll love this, you know?
Yeah.
And I think there are a lot of us out there. So
It's definitely a nod to the 90s Image.
Yeah.
So, and this was on Tyrell's bucket list, was to get published by Image. So he did it.
He did, and he'll do it again. I have no doubt.
Oh, he's definitely going to do it again.
Brock said
he got variant covers on through Image, but
he's done tons of variants.
Yeah.
Brock said, if that's what you call overly critical, I'd love to see reviews of stuff you actually hate. Can we have a Wednesday where you guys slam dunk on some absolute garbage?
What do you absolutely hate?
I don't know if I absolutely hate very many comic books, because I can genuinely find the merits.
Don't buy it.
Yeah, that's part of it. I just won't spend the money on it. It's very rare that I'll find nothing like without a redeemable quality. I do try to see the best in things, but I can be mean about stuff. I have more opinions about movies and music than I do about comic books.
I was gonna say, you put movies in front of them. There we go. Talk about a shitty movie. Let's go.
But it's also because of the stakes. There are 5 guys that made this book. You know what I mean? And I know some of them personally. So I'm not going to sit here and be like, you're a piece of shit and you should have never done this. Like that. One, that's not who I am as a person. But 2, I wouldn't do that to people I respect. You know what I mean?
What were you
Do better.
Like,
Do better.
and 2, like with a movie, I'm like, look, there's a little bit of bitterness with movies because, I wanted to be in the movie business for a while. And just the utter befuddlement of seeing a just piece of absolute dog shit that had hundreds of people. There were thousands of people that worked on Shazam, and no one was like, excuse me, this is a piece of shit. Can we not do this? And
I remember sitting with you and looking at you and be like, we can turn this off. This sucks.
And the thing is, I love bad movies. I love bad movies more than I like good movies, honestly, because bad movies, you're just blown. Oh, Brock said, wait till I review Renowned.
I was going to say, he has Time Police now, too, so he'll be dunking on some garbage there.
We kid, only in jest. It's different. Comic books, you gotta be... To even make a comic book, you gotta kind of be one of us. You know what I mean? So, like, the realm of shitty comics.
Yeah.
It's a narrow pool.
There is one book that I own that I'm like, you know what? I would be okay with giving that one away. I was trying to think about it, where he was asking, would you dunk on a book? But again, it's not what our Wednesday streams are about. Our Wednesday streams are to talk about things that inspire us and that we enjoy. And while, again, did I have some criticism for this book? Of course. But I had criticisms about Kingdom Come. Like, and there's some people that say that like Kingdom Come is one of the all-time best DC stories out there, aside from Dark Knight.
And Ben was just like, fuck this shit.
Yeah, what the...
Ben was like, Alex Ross can't draw for shit.
Yeah, what is painting in a comic book? God,
what you got that I don't got?
This is high art town. What are we doing? Let's go to New York and sip our wine and go look at paintings of comic book characters. No,
I'm genuinely trying to think of books that I actively dislike. But you know what books I dislike the most are the books where people tell me it's going to be the greatest book I've ever read, and then I read it and it's just fine. Mm. Like, and those books aren't even bad, but it's because I was expecting to have my mind blown. The best books are when you're like, I guess I'll pick this up, and then you just like are like, I don't even know what this is, and then you read it and it's the best fucking book you've ever read in your life. That is, oh my god. I'm trying to think of a really good one that we did. I mean, honestly, like my foray into Tom King, like the Woman of Tomorrow book that we'll be reading next week, like it was literally people were just like, this book is great, like you should read this, oh my god. And I was like, I guess. And then I just bought it, and I was like, holy fuck, dude. Like, those are the best experiences. That's right, Noah. And feel free to hop on the VC if you want during that stream.
Ooh, yeah, Noah, come on and talk.
Yeah.
Like, truly. And Tom King was one of those writers where I just heard an interview with him. I was like, this guy's really smart. I guess I should read one of his books. And Manny, you had Mr. Miracle, and I was like, you were like, this book is sick. And I was like, okay. And then I found Sheriff of Babylon at a secondhand bookstore. And I was like, oh, it's Tom King. I'll read this. I have no idea what this is. And then I was like, what the fuck? This is one of the best comic books I've ever read in my life. Like, truly. Oh my God. So
It's awesome.
those are the best experiences with art, movies, music, whatever. When you're just like, I don't know what this is.
Gang Massacre?
Oh my God.
Yeah, that one blew my mind. I was like, holy shit, this is awesome.
The first time I read Criminal, it was just like, I saw the cover and I was like, well, this looks right up my alley. I love pulp crime. And the people were like, at the comic book store, were like, oh, Brubaker and Phillips are the best. It was right after Fake Towel had been coming out. And I was like, well, I guess I'll give this a shot. Yeah. And that book is literally the reason why we're sitting here having these fucking streams. Like, that book was so good, I was like, I need to read and write comic books. Like, that was when I made that my mission, basically.
I think that Criminal Volume 1 needs to be like Kev's birthday stream or something.
It's going to be when Criminal, the show, is coming out. I've already decided. Like, a week before that show comes out, we're going to do that book, Volume 1. And I'm just going to sit here and fucking wear a diaper for how hard I'm going to be creaming, dude. Oh, my God. It's the book I tell anybody who doesn't read comics, you have to read Criminal. Like, if you don't fucking, like, if you have never read Brubaker, you gotta read Criminal. Like, oh, it's so good. All 7 or 8 volumes of that shit, they're amazing.
Yeah, one of these days we'll get better at tying into, like, current events and movies and TV, but, you know, we'll do it special for Criminal.
Yeah, we try to have some forethought. We did talk about doing a Deadpool stream this week, but we didn't get it together. Honestly, I haven't read that much Deadpool. It's just that black, white, and red book that they did for Deadpool.
By the way, you guys totally missed out. Should have been at Acme because they were doing 50% off Wolverine and Deadpool back issues. And I picked up a couple of Deadpool issues with Trad Moore covers on them. Brothers. Oh, they're gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous.
Heck yeah.
With our buddy Brock.
Brock said once the trade comes out for Creature of the Black Lagoon, I'm forcing you to all do a stream for it. Hell yeah, man. I'll read the shit out of that.
Yeah, you gotta come on the stream too.
Yes.
When it comes to single issues, I gotta pick my battles, man. It's so much to
We'll cross the streams. Brock will run his stream. You guys will do your streams. There we go.
Yeah, that could
cross the streams.
Yeah. We gotta figure out how to do the partnered streaming on Twitch. That's what we gotta do.
Well, gentlemen, you want to close this out, Kev?
Yeah, close this out.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, non-binary friends, bisexuals, bicycles, and tricycles.
Quadcycles? Are those scooters?
Those are called cars, you idiot.
Four-wheelers?
Four-wheelers.
If you're a car... if you're a car, join our Discord.
Crash in there, dude.
Yeah.
Beep, beep, motherfuckers. Thanks for watching us. This devolved into pure rambling and shit talking, but we do this all because we love comics. And if you love comics, join our Discord. Link should be linked here. It'll be in the YouTube if you're watching this on YouTube. It can be found at the mouthbreathersguild.com. Well, it's just mouthbreathersguild.com. I shouldn't put the there. Yeah, if you're a car with tits, hit Brock up. Mouthbreathersguild.com. It'll take you to the Discord. It'll take you to if you go to the guild tab on that website, it'll take you to every individual affiliate who's done anything with Mouthbreathers Guild, show you their links. We're just a community artist that likes to support one another, have fun, talk about the shit we love. This isn't about being a pretentious dickhead, dickhole. This is about being a good guy, being a good person, and supporting one another. And that's what we do. We truly do love you. reach out to us on social media. If there's something you enjoy about what we're doing, tell us. If there's something you hate about us, go fuck yourself. I don't want to hear it.
I'm a glutton for punishment. You can tell me.
Tell me how bad I am. Tell me.
That's right.
Punish me, daddy. We truly do love you. That's what we say at the end of all of our streams, and we mean it. Like, we're all in this shit together. No need to fucking tear each other down. Otherwise,
Go to your local comic book store. Buy comics.
go to your LCS, buy comics. If you're in Greensboro, North Carolina, go to Acme Comics. Specifically, go to Acme Comics downtown. Those are great people who run that store. Raleigh, Capital Comics.
There.
Yeah.
If you're in Los Angeles, go to Collector's Paradise. That was my local shop when I lived there. I love that fucking store. Golden Apple's cool too. I think Rob Liefeld owns part of that. Wherever you're at in any place, there's going to be a good comic book store. Ask people at the store for recommendations. They'll tell you cool shit to read. Bring lots of money because you're going to spend it. Because you should. Throw money at artists and at creators and support them. Because fuck everybody else. This is about putting on the shit you love and not tearing down the shit you hate. Because just don't give that shit any peace of mind, time of mind. The world's a fucked up, horrible place. So read comic books about it. You know what I mean?
And hang out with us. Okay, thanks. Never mind. I was trying for a positive button. World's a terrible place. Hang out with the Mouthbreathers, and all I get for me is meh.
We love you. Good night.